I'm going to be a little bit of a bumbler with my words. I'm really trying hard. Um, Listen, this is a work in progress. It's a little messy, but the adapted life, episode 4, from career to caregiver, stay-at-home mom. So, yeah, I just wanted to say, welcome back, friends. I think many women go through identity crisis when they have children. The life of it's all about me becomes the life of it's all about my child. And this is pretty normal. It's a big challenge for moms to overcome, but it's all part of being a mom. For me, I always planned on being a working mom. I completed my MBA in 1995. I actually walked through commencement and I was 3 months pregnant with my daughter. I was like, I am living the life. I loved the field of human resources. That's what I was pursuing. And I did everything vigorously that I could to learn more about the field. I found myself on a career track for future in human resources and hoping to specialize in training and development. I really loved my job, several jobs in the field. But when I had to walk away from working full time when my son needed me, it was really hard. I resisted for a few years and continued to try to see if I could do things, part time or find a different career. But as Daniel's needs increased, the full extent of his disability was becoming more and more apparent. I knew that I couldn't walk in both directions. I couldn't do both things. So I left my career behind. And our family could not afford it, but my child needed me. He needed an advocate. So, how does a young mom go from working mom, active, involved in work and community, to mom of very severely disabled child with multiple medical issues? Yikes. Yikes, yikes. It was like I walked through a door to a completely unknown alternate universe. So, well, I'm sorry to say there is no instructions for this question, for this task that we are faced with when our child is disabled. It all depends on how we resiliently figure things out, right? Every mom that I know who has dealt with this challenge, uh, it's just like, what are we gonna do? You know, how do you do this? How do you adjust to this kind of life? And I guess my short answer is you adapt. That's what I always say. Every day, every minute, as life hurls the unknowns at you, because it hurls, doesn't hand them to you, it throws them to you, right? So, for example, the doctor says, Mrs. Hasselberger, your son has global motor dysfunction and requires therapy in order to meet mobility milestones. And you're like, yeah, what? What kind of therapy? And what is global motor dysfunction? And who do I call? And what do I do? And how will this affect us? How bad is the situation? How long will it have to go on for? Will he be able to blah, 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 right? So you figure out how to find therapy services, which I did. And you figure out the difference between physical therapy and occupational therapy, which I did. And you learn about setting goals and objectives for therapy, range of motion, exercises, stretches, equipment, all the things that you need to help with the therapy process, right? That's just one teeny example. So you learn and you learn and you learn. And I still feel to this very day that I am taking an advanced degree in how to be an expert in all things related to my son's disability. And I'm only on year one, even though he's 23. So, all things. I thought I would take a moment to explain to all of my listeners out there my son's overall condition. So maybe you can kind of get a picture here because I know everybody's situations are vastly different and literally unique. So, in my case, here goes. So this is the climate of the new world that I faced when I became a stay-at-home mom, in quotes. Daniel was born November 22nd, 1997. He was 8 pounds, 10 ounces, appeared to be a healthy, amazing baby. He was a little bit different in some ways, but when you have a newborn, And then he was my second. So I'm like, well, he's just a different person, right? So I thought he was just a little different. No big deal. He's, he's unique, right? So somewhere around 8 weeks old, and it was January, it was Super Bowl Sunday, he came down with this cough. And we still call it RSV Sunday instead of Super Bowl Sunday. And it was a very strange cough. So it turns out that he had something called respiratory syncytial virus, and he developed pneumonia in both lungs at 2 months old. He was tiny. So we took him to the hospital, and he had a real difficult time breathing and actually stopped breathing briefly. And then they had to airlift him. They had to resuscitate him and airlift him because they didn't have any pediatric ICU beds at that hospital. So he ended up in New York, Westchester Medical Center. He was in the ICU for a couple of weeks. He almost died, had many blood transfusions from RSV. It's respiratory syncytial virus. Horrible illness. So he did survive, and he was doing much better. But after the RSV, he ended up with like asthma and respiratory troubles that he still has to this day. So Daniel's overall condition. So he cannot sit on his own. He can't walk. He doesn't really use his arms and hands very well. His overall motor abilities are impaired. So as he grew, he required many orthopedic surgeries. He had dysplasia in his hips. That's when the hips aren't quite in the socket, so in the joint there. So they have to do what's called an osteotomy to, repair that. He's had hamstring lengthening. At age 15, 2012, he had a very significant spinal curve from scoliosis. So he ended up having a complete spinal fusion, which was a good thing because scoliosis was causing repeat pneumonias and some very, very serious medical issues. It was scary though. But around age 7, he stopped eating by mouth completely because it was just too dangerous. He had a hard time because his motor skills never developed in how to protect his airway. So like he can't chew and swallow and do all those things. So he is 100% G-tube fed. So we had to do that. He's nonverbal. He never developed speech. He did begin using an iPad and other assistive technology to help communication and choice making. So, we've always been exploring those things. I think we had 2 full holiday seasons spent in the children's hospital because of pneumonia. So, my kids have been through so much. We had Christmas in the hospital a couple of years. He was there for like, I don't know, a month. His seizures are another issue. So he started having what they used to call grand mal seizures around 3. And over the years, some of the medications have worked, some of them have not worked, or he breaks through. He has different types of seizures. It's really, really kind of a bizarre thing. It's just when you think they're controlled and things are going well, all of a sudden there he is having a big seizure, and you're like, oh my gosh. Lots of ER rides, 911 calls in my house over the years. My kids just got used to, you do this and you do that, and dad call 911 and mom wait for the, ambulance and show them where to go and all that stuff. Dale's incontinent. He wears diapers and he's basically immobile. He does have a wheelchair. He has a stander, lots and lots of equipment to assist him. He attended school when he was younger. He went to a special program starting at age 3 all the way through. I think his last kind of 3 years of school he spent at the high school here in town. That's only because the program kind of dissolved that he was in. It was a kind of a special needs only program, which was great. But he stayed in school until age 21, and now he's home with us. So, and there's so many more things I could tell you about my son, but basically he was born with a deformed brain with a condition called polymicrogyria. It was caused by a virus that I had when I was pregnant called the cytomegalovirus. It attacked the formation of his brain. So that has manifested in a lifetime of many disabilities and many challenges. That's kind of it in a nutshell. So all these things are happening simultaneously. All these things are happening over the years, right? All his special needs. And I'm also raising my daughter, who was 2 years older, and then my son Thomas, who was 3 years younger than Daniel. So yeah, it was a lot. I don't know that I was really just a stay-at-home mom. I've always felt like I was just something else because Daniel's needs were so vast. Most people weren't dealing with what I was dealing with. People meaning other moms that were sort of raising kids at the same time. So um, trying to think where my thought process here. So all these things were happening, and the cost, that's the other thing, the cost. When I said I had to leave my career, it was massive, but I didn't have that much choice because he really needed me to be home and he needed me to manage all of these things, right? But they don't pay for that. I don't get paid for anything that I do in terms of caring for my son. So it was a huge financial problem because at the time he was on a waiting list for Title 19 Medicaid. And in 2009, he finally got onto Title 19 Medicaid for benefits. Before that, yeah, it was bad. We were in rough shape, like bad. And thank you for Medicaid expansion because that is what changed our life. But that's another whole conversation. Anyway, I did some things here and there. I tried jobs. I tried working part-time. I tried sales. I did Southern Living at Home. I actually even got lured into Primerica and got all of my insurance licenses. And I got my 6 and 63 to sell investments. I was like, I'm going to have a business, pumped up, fired up. Yeah, I drank the Kool-Aid. And then I just realized insurance business is just not for me. And I did not have the time to put into the whole multi-level marketing thing of recruiting. And I just, yeah, it was just not for me. So all these different things. I even worked for a deli for a while, just trying to make some extra money. And it was like, I don't know, didn't make any money. And so little this, little of that. How am I going to bring it? Just was hard because I had never thought I would be in this position. Back then there weren't as many opportunities and technology to do what I'm doing now. Now it's like so cool. You can start a business, any kind of business, and you can have podcasts, and there's technology that makes it easy. And yeah, so in my soul, I've always been longing to pursue something more, something of a bigger purpose. And when I was working part-time in insurance, right, so I actually got a job working with a guy who started an Allstate business. So I got my license to sell auto and home insurance. This is like over a 20-year period, right? Different things along the road. And I just, I could have done a lot with that, but I didn't enjoy it. I like, it was so boring for me. And I know everybody needs car insurance and home insurance, and it was fine, and I understood it, and I was able to do what I needed to do, but I finally left because he sold his business, and then COVID happened. And so here I am sitting here saying, I really want to do something that speaks to my heart. And I've been thinking about a podcast for a long time, I've been uploading YouTube videos for years. And I'm like, oh, yeah, I'd like to do a podcast. Just build a community and see where it goes, right? I mean, I'm 55 and I'm a special needs mom, and my world was turned upside down. And I gotta believe there's a lot of other people who are caring for somebody or, just have been faced with something that has prevented them from being able to get in their car and go to a job all day long and then come home again because they have to be home to be a million other things and manage things. Essentially, it's like you're a caregiver, but you don't get paid for it. And so I don't know. I don't know what I'm saying. Anyway, that's kind of it. I am in my soul. I felt like I was longing for something more, some way of creating a purpose and a passion and giving it back to the universe and you. So here I am. I feel like I'm standing on the side of a cliff and I'm about to take a dive into beautiful deep water. I'm exhilarated, but I'm also terrified. So, stay home caregiver Julie was always so much more deep inside, and she still is. She is now ready to come out and play and help others on their journey. So, they too can walk through the door into the parallel universe of adapting to extreme adversity and realizing that, you know what? It's okay. We can figure out another way to go. Or I'm not alone in this, and maybe somebody else can hold my hand while I go through this journey, right? So, how does a young mom adapt? How does she adapt to becoming a parent of a disabled child? How do I make that work? How does that happen, right? I have a healthy daughter, and then 2 years later, I have a baby who has very severe disabilities. And yeah, I got brave. I had a third one. Okay. So it wasn't, I was a little crazy. But you have two who are perfectly healthy, active, normal children who need all the things that normal children need. And then you have this child who is just so extremely needy. So how do you do that? How do you do that? I don't know. I guess you just adapt to it, don't you? And in the process of adapting, you discover who you are. And the identity crisis thing over time, that can go away. It still kind of revisits. It revisited me yesterday, for example. It happens a lot. Like, who am I? I'm so much more than this, and it's like, well, wait a minute. And then you have the guilt of, wait, if I'm focusing on who I am, then I'm not doing enough on the other end, and vice versa. But the important thing is to realize that, finding your purpose and finding something that really defines who you are and becoming so self-aware, it really actually benefits everybody and allows more miracles to happen in your life. So in coming episodes, I'm going to expand on some of the specific ways that have helped me through the process, things that I've discovered are very, very beneficial in adapting and helping you to do that, right? So that's kind of who it is and who it is. Like, yeah, oh my goodness gracious. I'm going to be a little bit of a bumbler with my words. I'm really trying hard. Listen, this is a work in progress. It's a little messy, but I'm a little messy. So I would love to hear from you guys. And you can find me. I'm on Instagram at J Hasselberger, HASSELBERGERJ Hasselberger. Or you can find my YouTube channel, which is also just my name. I made it easy. And that's been out in the world for a long time. I enjoy uploading videos of just daily life, And it's kind of fun because you'd be able to see how things actually are in real life with my son around the house and things like that. I don't have a website yet, but I need to make one. So anybody, yeah, I need to work on that. But I have this podcast and I have my YouTube channel and I have Daniel's little art shop called Daniel's Special Art. And that's the three things that I've been working on. But listen, I am so grateful to be here with the podcast. I have so many exciting things to talk about down the road, in terms of how I've made it to this point, 23 years in, to taking care of this child and raising my kids. And yeah, it's all pretty awesome. Do I still miss my career aspirations in human resources? A little bit. I miss people because I'm really pretty isolated. So the loneliness thing kind of kicks in, but I don't miss the stress. And to be honest, for years my husband was like, yeah, you need to revisit that. And yeah, you need to go back. And I'm like, I can't do it. How am I going to do that? I can't do that. So yeah. So that's it for episode 4. And I am so glad you are here. I hope this is okay. I can't wait to connect to you. I hope you have a fantastic day. And I will be back hopefully more frequently because I'm literally learning how to use technology to do all these things. And I'm grateful and thrilled at the same time. So that's all for now. We'll see you next time.